there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today I want to talk about self-correction and ways that you can improve your sketching and your design work and kind of spruce up your sketchbook while you're at it. So I was sitting out on the deck the other day and I wasn't feeling very inspired. I went through my camera roll and I just kind of sketched a few things that I took pictures of recently, like this daffodil that was from my sister's garden, and this view of Mount Katahdin from actually Outlook on the interstate. And I was kind of flipping through my sketchbook, and I noticed I had a lot of stuff that was just kind of, you know, loose sketches. Like this was just kind of blobs of paint. So since I had the pens out for doing those other pieces, I'm like, well, why don't I see what I can do with my pens to try to bring the stuff out. So I used some pens, a little more watercolor, and then, okay, I'm not so embarrassed about this page anymore. And so I went back through to see what else I had. This was just some practices with a new brush that I got, a new dagger brush. And then I'm like, well, what can I do to make this look a little bit better? So I added a little bit of fine liner, added a little bit of watercolor shading. And then I'm like, well, why don't I do something on this facing page? So sometimes when you're feeling uninspired, it's just, you just need something to start pushing that ball down the hill, basically. Once you get going, oftentimes it's really easy to create. And then I kept flipping through. What else could I spruce up? I had these just little loose flowers that I had done. They weren't anything special. I didn't really like them that much, but a little bit of pen really made them kind of come to life, or at least gave them a little bit of definition so they didn't look so blah. Now this is my favorite one here. I was just playing with some colors that I had. I think it was just like, I think I was cleaning up the stuff on my palette. And a lot of times I'll flip back through and fill in pages that I never did on my sketchbook, like the facing pages. And I had done this like kind of like a branch, and it kind of reminded me of Pussy Willows, but it's definitely too densely packed and different colors. But I was like, well, why can't I just make a branch like that and out of my imagination? I mean, this is my sketchbook. It's only got to please me. So so I did that, and I really like how that came out. And yeah, then I thought, well, this might be a kind of a fun lesson. So I grabbed another book that I had just sitting upstairs on my desk, and I thought I would see if I had any pictures that were just kind of unfinished that that could use a little bit of pen work. I think actually we could do something on this. You could see I do a lot of little like loose doodles when I'm testing out paints or brushes, but I thought this right here would be really nice for doing some pen work. So I've got a little jar of pens here, and I do have some brush pens and also some fine liners, different brands. I'm just going to try to grab a few different sizes here, just so I have a little bit of variety. I find that most of these work together, so it's not like you have to have them all the same brand or anything. And I'm going to start off with this brush pen because I just feel like I get a lot of, I can get a lot of variety here. And I'm looking at this and I see, okay, I got some water in the background. I got like a path. I've got some, looks like some mountains in the background, a little bit of sky. I got these birch trees. This was probably an imagination sketch. And I think I was kind of trying out the Paul Rubens phosphorescent watercolors because of the sparkle that I could see. I think this is probably one of the first little examples of that. Now I might want to use actually a cup and water just because I see that I've got, I might want to have it not so harsh. So if you have a water brush handy, believe it or not, I don't have a water brush handy, but I do have I can just grab any old brush and some water. That would work. I'll pour it out of my drinking bottle because I need to go freshen that up anyway. So even if you're using a waterproof pen, if you get the water, if you wet it quick enough, you usually can kind of like spread it out a little bit, but you do have to be kind of quick with it. Boy, this dries fast. This is the Jane Davenport License to Quill pen. I don't know if you can, I think you could still find it. I don't know if they're, she may have it on her website. Oh, and some of the Some more little branches. You can use these just like a brush on the tip. I don't want to get rid of all the nuanced color that I have there, but maybe just a little bit of the, you know, the little splotches that those trees have. And by adding more detail in the front of this picture, it's going to give me a little more depth if I leave everything else kind of muted in the background. It'll just give me a little bit of depth. Kind of wondering if I might have sketched this over at the place where I usually put my kayak in the water. Although this looks like an awfully cold scene. I'm not a big fan of winter plein air painting. This looks like it might have been, well, you know, I could have gone over there, and this might just be from imagination, because I don't think I would have gone out there with this sketchbook and painted in the winter. I don't like winter painting outdoors. I like the idea of it. Fantasy Lindsay loves it. Reality Lindsay gets too cold. All right, maybe I'll grab grab a thinner pen. This is an 08 nib, so it's not a real thin pen, but compared to that, it is. And I had somebody asked me a question about like using microns on watercolor paper and how they wear down really quick. My tip for that is to actually use a thicker nib, like use a 0.8 or a 1mm nib, and like use it on its side, and you will get a much finer line rather than using it straight up and down. And that way you can still get a fine line, but it doesn't trash the nibs because you're just kind of using the corner of it. And you can also get a really nice sketchy look that way. So if I'm using, this is a pretty smooth sketchbook. This is the Arteza watercolor sketchbooks, which kind of reminds me of the Stillman and Bird mixed media sketchbooks. I think the Stillman and Bird is a little bit more reliable, but these are, well, I think it probably depends on where you're getting them, but these tend to be cheaper. They come in a multi-pack, but I find the paper to be quite similar, and I like both of them. But what I really like is just the fact that the paper's a little bit smoother. I'm doing a little cross-hatching for some texture here, especially since my blending it with water technique did not work quite as good as I'd hoped, so I can do this to add a little bit more tone. Do more dense cross-hatching if you want a thicker tone. But I think that looks a lot better. I mean, it's not super different, and I mean, it's just sketchbook work, so don't feel like it has to be perfect. I think kind of going back through and altering those sketches and sprucing them up, especially if you're not feeling very inspired, that critiquing of your old work is really beneficial, because you might have just been frustrated and stuck and you didn't know where you could go, and maybe you're bummed out because it's in your sketchbook and now you're going to see it every time you flip through it. See if you can bring it back to something that you like. And what the reason I wanted to do this video is because when I was going back through and fixing up drawings I did a year or more ago, because I tend to work in a lot of sketchbooks at once, so I might put a sketchbook away for months and then come back to it, or maybe I only use it in the summer, or maybe I only use it when I have this particular bag out. So time has elapsed. It's almost like you're critiquing somebody else's work, and as a teacher I would kind of look at a student's work, and I might suggest a couple lines, or they might ask me if I could do something to their paint, which I wouldn't draw on their picture unless they asked me to, but they might ask me to, and I would go through and just kind of make a few marks, a few changes, and all of a sudden it's more cohesive, and it just takes that second set of eyes, and you kind of become that second set of eyes when you're so distanced from that original sketch that you did. So my tip is go back, critique old work, and you're going to learn a lot, and you're going to spruce up your sketchbook. So it's a win-win in my book. I hope you enjoyed this quick tip. Please give me a thumbs up if you did, and I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Until next time, happy crafting. Bye.